Well, a very warm welcome to you all, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome again to this special information session on Caux. This is our second and last session to engage with the Caux Forum this summer to get to understand more and get an update on what is being planned by the team and to see how we can engage with it and support it. My name is Imad Karam. I am the Executive Director of IFC International, and we are supporting IFC Switzerland and the Caux Foundation in organizing this summer's Caux Forum. So without any further ado, I'll pass the word to Elizabeth Toombs, who is the Vice President of IFC Switzerland, who will say a few words, and then from there we will take a presentation led by Ignacio and his team, Ignacio Parker, the Executive Director of IFC Switzerland. I expect we will have another 20 to 30 minutes of presentation, and the rest of the time will be questions and discussions with you. So Elizabeth, over to you, please, and thank you for being with us.
Okay, this is just to say on behalf of the Caux Foundation that you're all very welcome to this meeting, but more importantly, I'm hoping that we will be able to welcome you all in Caux this summer. We're very excited about the way the plans are developing, and you'll see some of the developments that have been put together in the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I would encourage you to register for one of the events and to bring other people along and get them to register as well. So we look forward very much to seeing you all. And I'm going to hand this back over to Ignacio now.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. And Sarah's going to be putting the PowerPoint on here. Really pleased to see you all on the call. We're going to run through a few slides as support. And then, as Imad said, we really leave time for questions and answers. As you've seen, the program is pretty exciting, I find, this summer, with three very relevant topics and that are interconnected. So around the inner development and the inner development goals, around democracy, and then the intergenerational forum. So 3 times 5 days. Sarah? Next, yes. So we will start off on the 9th of July on the Core Inner Development Goals Forum, which we're doing in partnership with the Inner Development Goals Foundation, which is based in Stockholm. For us, this is seen as being very strategic in bringing other people into the space, and we will be really using all the approaches and the tools of IFC, but also seeing how other people also bring in different elements of inner development. Next, Sarah. The opening ceremony, we haven't yet totally completed the speakers for the opening ceremony. But as you see, we have Rajmohan Gandhi, who will be with us for actually for over 3 weeks with Usha, and would be in the 3 participating in the 3 forums. We're still waiting for a response from the Swiss ambassador, who will be doing the welcoming, as well as a keynote speaker from Costa Rica, because Costa Rica is the only country which, for the moment, has adopted the framework of the Inner Development Goals and is working on the policies to be able for this to be a support to the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. This would be taking place in Geneva, and then from Geneva, there'll be coaches to take people to Caux. If people want to go directly to Caux and skip the in-person opening ceremony in Geneva, that's always possible, as it will be streamlined, and then you can watch it in Caux. Yeah, next, Sarah. Then very soon I'm going to hand over to someone else, because you're not only going to be hearing my voice, because the intention here is also to show how diverse the team is. We have a great team working on the preparation of these core forums. There are 4 work streams in the core Inner Development Goals forum. Each one, as an entry point, touches on one of the Sustainable Development Goals. But it's not to have PowerPoints with data and statistics and so on. It is really to enter into what are the skills, the qualities which are needed to be able to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. So you see Sustainable Development Goal, which is around zero hunger, and there we're going to be working on conscious food systems. On the climate action, we're going to be looking at our lifestyles. What does it mean for me today to be able to align what I'm doing with the values and with the climate emergency? Next slide. And over to you, Sarah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so happy to see all of you, but I apologize. I cannot open my camera because my connection is very bad, and I'm disconnected if I do. So we've put a lot of effort on a work stream, SDG 16, which is cultivating peaceful societies. We think it's a big responsibility, especially this year with all the wars happening in the world and all the atrocities. But we also aim that this forum would provide an opportunity to reconnect to our shared values of tolerance, understanding, empathy, and maybe we'll be able to lay the ground for a more peaceful and just future. So it will serve as a platform for different people coming from different backgrounds to come together, exchange ideas, strategies, and experiences, and see what works and what doesn't work. And we are really counting on your support and participation, especially from IFC friends on this work stream in this IDG forum as a whole. Thank you. To you, Sarah.
Apologies. There we go. Start video. Where do I? There we go. I think I'm in the PowerPoint somehow. Hello, everyone. Looking very much forward to hopefully meeting you in Caux. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm here. I'm trying to manage the technology, but we have a really interesting work stream on SDG 17, which is looking at how we can foster meaningful alliances between stakeholders. So we have some really interesting workshops relating to regenerative theater, looking at the role of inner development in business schools, looking at storytelling, looking at the relationship of money and love. So very different themes that are being covered within Workstream 17, and a very nice mix, I would say, perhaps between the communities of initiatives of change and the inner development goals. Over to you, Ignacio.
Yes, so now that's for John.
Yes, so then after inner development goals, we go to the Co-Democracy Forum. How can democracy be revitalized across Europe and the world? It's a big topic, but it's vital. This morning I was at a conference on peacekeeping, and a professor of governance and international affairs made a few points. Leaders don't talk anymore about democracy and human rights, he pointed out. There are no new peacekeeping operations. There are few comprehensive peace agreements. The liberal international order is fragmenting, and the rise of an approach of overthrowing the rules-based order. We see it in Ukraine, the attack of Russia. We see it in the way that Israel is conducting its operations in Gaza. We see it in Myanmar and many other places. So it's a serious situation. There's a lack of optimism about can we make things different. Politics is inward thinking. As he said, the liberal peace is over and it's not coming back. So really what he was asking is, how do you bring back a moral compass to our policies? And that's what we're working on. So we're dealing this in a variety of different ways, but we do have a wonderful range of people who are really at the cutting edge of this issue. How do we revitalize democracy? You have a man like Senator Bogdan Klich in Poland, head of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Polish Senate, who has been in this struggle ever since Soviet times in Poland, when he was imprisoned for his struggle, and has gone through as a cabinet minister, and now after is working to restore democracy to its true value in Poland. You have others from many countries, a large consignment coming from Ukraine. We have a substantial group from South Sudan, led by a government minister, members of parliament, and others who are asking exactly the same question. How do we establish democracy in our country? So, well, I could go on with so many others who are at work in this. And we are finding a tremendous response. So I think it's really, we have the opportunity, working with the Swiss Department of Foreign Affairs, who are taking this whole issue very seriously and are giving support to our conference, with the UN Human Rights Office, with whom we are developing part of the conference, with many other organizations, to say that this can be a center which starts some new thinking, which dispels something of the narrow-minded thinking that really we can't do anything, and says, no, we can. And so that's what we're out for. And we need all the help we can get, because this is a 3-year program. But of course, it'll go on after 3 years. But we are going to develop 3 years of building something where CO has the chance to do what I believe it is there to do, which is to inject a whole new approach into the thinking of Europe based on the fundamentals of what Initiatives of Change is expressing. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this. And over to the next person.
And the next person is me. So hello, everybody. I'm going to present the program of the opening ceremony of the Co-Democracy Forum. And this is a day I'm actually really looking forward to, because I find the program very diverse, very colorful, and I'm just going to run you very quickly through it. So the opening ceremony of the Caux Forum will take place at the Caux Palace. It's on the 15th of July at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and will actually run on then during the evening. So there is the whole sort of afternoon and evening program that's combined. It's a day where people can come as day guests, but then also when people who have registered for the Co-Democracy Forum, it's part of their package. The opening ceremony is organized in collaboration with the Geneva Diplomatic Club. As you can see in the welcome address, actually, Raymond Lauretan, from the chairman of the Geneva Diplomatic Club, will be there and welcoming people with Jacqueline Coté, president of Co-Initiatives of Change, and together with a welcome from Switzerland, Thomas Gerber, Ambassador Thomas Gerber, who has already been to Co before in the past. For the keynotes, we have Nada Al-Nashif. She is UN Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights, and the UN Human Rights Office is actually also hosting a work stream during the Co-Democracy Forum on people-centered economics. Another keynote speaker will be Andrius Krivas from Lithuania, and he has just taken over actually the chair of the Committee of Minister Deputies at the Council of Europe. I think we can now go to the next slides. As you can see, there are also, we have actually 3 speakers from our creative leadership youth initiative. So we have Murray from India, Jonas Truni from the UK, and Sidran Reslan from Syria, who will be with us and who will be presenting or offering us something, like a human library, like a living library. So they will be there speaking to us. And on the contributor side, you see Ignacio, you can see Sarah, and we have the pleasure to have Rajmohan Gandhi with us, who will be actually with us for the entire Caux Forum this summer. So I think there is one more slide. I'm correct. That's it. And this is a part I'm really looking forward to. So we have Jean-Marc Vignoli, a violinist, who will be there providing the music during the official part of the opening. And then we have, right after the opening, there is a part where there's an exhibition by Swiss cartoonist Patrick Chapat. The exhibition will be there at the Caux Palace for the entire day, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And in the evening, we will have a concert by Nola Kin with the support of the Montreux Jazz Festival Foundation, or Artist Foundation, to be correct. And I think that's all for the opening, and over to you.
And that's me. Thank you very much. The Healing the Wounds of the Past is one of the work streams. The Democracy Conference has got 3 work streams for people to attend. And the Healing the Wounds of the Past is the first pillar of the IFC International's preamble, or the focus area. We gathered last year in Caux for a major conference on this theme. This year, the Co-Democracy Forum is also focusing on this, and we have amazing contributors. Many of you are very familiar with all of them. Ashal Shaftari from Lebanon, Peter Shambrook, who's part of the Balfour Project from UK. Another afternoon, we will have Joe Berry and Patrick McGee. And on the third day, we have Imam and the pastor from Nigeria. They will all contribute from their personal stories and bring us up to speed on all that they are doing currently. And after tea every day, we are still discussing how to deepen the experience of the participants on the inner changes and the value systems, and how we can all join in the forgiveness restitution journey that makes a huge difference to democracy in the world today. Much needed. And I'm passing it on to
John.
Oh, John. All right. Over to you, John.
I'm working with Sarah on the people-centered economics, and we're working together with two lively women from the Human Rights Office, the UN Human Rights Office. And because if we're going to strengthen democracy, there's fundamentals that need to happen to that in the whole way that we look at economics. How do we shift economics so that economics becomes more people-centered, where often it's finance-centered and people are used to advance financial goals? How can the rich world strengthen the economies of the developing world? Because, of course, you can't establish democracy in a country in abject poverty. You can't really have a democracy if you've got a country which has a large gap between rich and poor, because the rich then spend their time trying to corrupt the democracy and the poor don't get a look in. So we do have some fine people tackling this subject who have plenty of experience in it. Mark Goyder, who's founded the think tank Tomorrow's Companies in Britain, is a highly respected figure in this. And we have others from what's known as B Lab, which is developing economies which do take into account the economy, the environment, and all these issues. And so that's one aspect. Then there's another is tackling corruption, because you can't get democracy going unless you can have effective means of tackling corruption. And we have some fine examples of people who are active in this whole field in both rich countries and poor. And an example like the Taiwanese elections will be presented, and how a corrupt system of elections was turned into a system of integrity by people's action. So a third one is the media. You can't get a democracy working unless you have a media of integrity. And we've got some speakers such as Richard Verley, who's a very well-known writer, writes for Switzerland's largest newspaper, and often on TV in France and Switzerland. He and others, several journalists who will be presenting on this whole issue. How do you make the best use of immigration? Because, of course, the professor I spoke to this morning, he said one of the features is that the securitization of migration. He said we're going backwards. We may have knocked down the Berlin Wall, but since then we've built 1,800 kilometers of wire fencing in Europe in 5 years. It is a backward thinking. We're even talking about transporting as a solution, which goes back to the 19th century. Britain getting rid of its people that didn't want it to Australia and so on. So how do we make the best use of it? And we do have some good examples in Refugees as Rebuilders and a number of other initiatives, which we will hear from. And then there's the environment. Earth Bank has offered us sponsorship for people dealing with the environment to be able to come to the conference. And so we will have a chance to present how central is the environment now to the whole issue of democracy, because it means that people getting the environment right enables people to live in a secure society. And then, of course, defending democracy amidst conflict. And here, people from Ukraine, from Myanmar, and we have several people giving leadership in the struggle for democracy in Myanmar, and other places will feature. So that's an idea of how we're going to grapple with the issues which need to be improved if we're going to establish democracy and strengthen democracy. Thank you. Over to the next.
Mute. Hi, thank you, John. And I'm coming back in on civil society fostering dialogue, which is the third work stream that is being led by Christoph Spring and by Dr. Laurie Johnston. This work stream is being done in collaboration with the INGO Dialogue Toolkit, and it's very much a hands-on workshop for people who want to bring about collective change in a challenging situation that they're facing, that they care about and want to enable action. So this work stream will be very much focused on providing people that follow it with the tools that they need and to be able to be used in situations where dialogues are being initiated. So it'll be very much a hands-on, step-by-step guide on how to do that. And I think, and maybe perhaps just as we wrap up on the Democracy Forum, I think it was John in the beginning said that this is a part of a 3-year program that we are running. We will be hosting and part of this program includes 2 Geneva Democracy Dialogues, which are going to be held in May and in October. We're hosting our first event together with the Kofi Annan Foundation at the European Union delegation to the United Nations next Thursday. And the idea is that this dialogue of 20 to 25 policymakers, decision makers, academics, and civil society leaders would then feed in to some of the input into the Co-Democracy Forum, and then from the Co-Democracy Forum for the October session, we would then be able to share that back, so that it would be a process that feeds into each other. And so hopefully this Geneva Democracy Dialogue event is a success and will be something that we want to continue as part of this wider 3-year program, and perhaps something that could be initiated in other cities where initiatives of change is present. But over to you, Ignacio.
Yes, thank you. I hope all this has really opened your appetite, and I really liked John's pitch on the human rights economy. He went to quite a lot of detail, so he's pitching really strongly for you to go to the human rights economy work stream. But as you've seen, I hope all this has brought a lot of appetite and interest for you to be able to follow. The opening ceremonies, of course, would be live streamed, and you can register for the only for the opening ceremonies. If not, it is by blocks. Yeah? So it's that you register for one forum or another, and the third forum that we have, and it's led by IFC Nordics. And Camilla and Edward really regret that they could not join today. And I don't know if there's someone else from the planning team working on the intergenerational forum with us. I would then invite certainly to give more information. But is it the case? Is someone with us?
I'm here.
Great. Yes, please.
I'm here. We had a meeting just recently, last Wednesday, and we've went through the participant list and seen that we are have quite a good variety of age and nationalities coming to the conference. We're pretty happy about the crowd that's coming. We will have a time where we will build connections, rebuild connections, foster the network. And it's the plan to have these to do this within quiet times, within workshops, and simply time that people are sharing on the terrace and other things. There will be evening programs. We're working on that. There's a theater being planned. We have decided that we will do a day of an outing where we hope that people, especially families with kids, have time in the Swiss mountains and hope for good weather. But there was also work on some workshops in the afternoon where we are not clear now what themes we will cover, but we are trying to get good contributions to these workshops as well. So you see, this is all work in process at the moment. Whoever has participated a conference and around the Christmas New Year's time in Norway, this kind of style, we want to give the network a chance to build and connect and strengthen IOC in this way. And there's still space for people to register. We're now running into a phase where we are advertising a little bit more to fill up the conference. We would like to have at least 50 more people to attend. So if you know anybody who wants to be at this conference in a family style, most welcome please tell them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry. Really looking forward to this. Active participants. Now, as you would remember, the Swiss labor authorities are not the easiest, and there's been a long conversation, I think, over quite a time about volunteering in Caux. So we've done a thorough work in looking at all the laws and the regulations in Switzerland to really find the best way to bring people to be able to be active participants. So moving away, at least for the terminology which is used mainly for the when you request visas, and also in the way we run things, to stay within as much as possible within the Swiss regulations, we'll be talking about active participants. And there's room for a lot of active participants. We've set up different teams to run Caux during the summer, with which we are also bringing in people who really have the depth of running a number of forums over the last decades, but also people living in Switzerland who will be gaining also experience and learning from these the people with more experience. So we're pretty well set with the different teams, including working on the teams for the interpretation, so there'll be interpretation for languages. And yeah, next slide. I'm happy to take more questions around that, and I think it's for you now.
So regarding registrations for the Co-IDG Forum and for the Co-Democracy Forum, nearly 100 people have now registered, so there is still space. There for the intergenerational one, as Henry said, there's also still space. I just had a look, so there are 148 for now registered for that conference. So the deadline is the 3rd of June. So as Henry said, for whatever conference for this summer, if you know anybody who might be interested in joining, there is still room, and there is still a bit of time to register. And I think over to you, Ignacio.
Yes, over to me, to the Solidarity Fund. So, of course, how are we doing in supporting people who have less resources or have higher expenses to come to Caux? So core initiatives have changed. We've managed to get, all is not confirmed, but we have already committed them 75,000 francs, and we've set up a solidarity fund. I want to thank here on the call Christine, Elizabeth, and Emad, who've been helping on this. And we have now allocated 64 sponsorships, accommodation or travel, and for some cases both, to try and bring the diversity of people to Caux. But there's also a call for, and I know that that's how this great movement functions, for the solidarity to give support to more people. This morning I had a message from someone who has moved from Crimea to Poland, who would love to come to Caux with his 2 children, but is short of funding. The funding that we have as Caux, we have extended it beyond what we can at the moment. So it's really a call for either people who can support to reach out to these individuals who, for them, it's extremely important for what they're living and so on, to come back to Caux, to discover Caux. But you also have the possibility through our the website or when you register, to contribute directly, and then that goes into the Solidarity Fund. For the moment, we've used the full amount. There's nothing left until we have some other people or surprises that would fit in the Solidarity Fund. Now, to have these funds, we've reached out to other foundations than the internal initiative change sources of funding. So we have a Geneva-based foundation, we have the Parker Foundation, and we are also waiting for confirmation from the Swiss government that that's coming. Okay, and what is the next slide? There's no more next slide, so it's back to you, Imad.
Thank you, Ignacio. Let me just spotlight. Thanks, Ignacio, to you and to the team for this very engaging and fine presentation about the Caux Forum and the 3 sessions. I know that the team is much bigger than those who have spoken today, and I know how much work you all have been engaged in, so thank you on behalf of everybody. Just before I open it for questions and comments, Ignacio, you just talked about the financial support that people can give to enable others to come. Is there any other needs that the team has to as you come close to the Caux Forum, please?
Well, of course, as you said, there's always the need to support people to come to Caux. So besides the financial support, it's very much the expertise and the knowledge of the Caux Forums and how to run the Caux Forum. We've, as you know, in Caux, we are mainly a fairly new team, but we're staying and we're sticking as much as possible. And I think we're a good team of fast learners to the way you have been running the Caux Forum for decades, with of course changes. It's not as before, and that is one of them, as you know, around how can you be an active participant, and there everybody willing to give a hand, if it be half an hour or an hour a day, would find that possibility. And we do have the core teams that would be more active and coordinating that. But of course, anybody who would want to join in one way or another, to give a little bit of the time while being a participant, that would be most welcome. And of course, we would have talent nights and other moments where the talents of you all would be able to be expressed and shared.
And can I just...
Yes, John?
Well, Caux is special because of the spirit which is brought by the people, and that opens people's minds to a whole new way of living and working, and people who can come and just have time with, be able to sit down with people and talk and those sort of things is a tremendous strength. So any of our IFC network who feel able to come will make a great contribution.
Thank you, John. Ignacio, just to clarify, you said the opening ceremony would be available online for people to join in. Is there anything available online in the Caux Forum?
Well, the opening ceremony is part of the Caux Forum. So
the rest of the Caux Forum, yeah.
Yes, I don't know, Uli or Tina, if you're there, where is there more that we're live streaming? That's the question.
So, sorry, are you expecting an answer? Sorry.
Whether you have it in mind, whether you're working on it, or whether it's not an option. It's
sorry, about the live streamings, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, there's definitely the plan to have live streaming for during the, well, apart from the openings. We're working on that, and as soon as we know and when we have them, they will be sent out.
Okay, well, thank you.
Hoping to that the plenaries will be live streamed.
Yes, the plenaries, yeah, it's the plenaries.
So every day you would have at least an hour and a half of live stream. That's the minimum.
That's good to know. Well, let's friends, let's take a moment of quiet just to gather your thoughts, and please put your hand up if you have a question or a comment, and then I'll invite you to speak. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you all. I see Spencer has his hands up. Please, Spencer.
Yes, just a quick practical question. For people who are coming to the first session of inner development, when they're traveling from France, for instance, do they turn up in Caux or should they go directly to Geneva?
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. So the opening ceremony starts at 2 o'clock in Geneva at La Maison de la Paix. So people can either join directly to La Maison de la Paix. The opening ceremony finishes at 4 o'clock, and it ends with a commemoration for Cornelio Sommaruga. And then there's a refreshment, and then we have coaches to take the people that are on foot from Maison de la Paix to Caux on time for dinner and then for the evening event. Those who wish can go directly to Caux and follow the opening ceremony live streamed. For me, it seems it's also a possibility, but it's a bit short in time, which would be to that morning to get to Caux, drop your luggage, and then come to Geneva. But it depends from what part of the world you're coming from. I don't know if that answers your question, Spencer.
Excellent. Thank you, Ignacio. Any other comments or questions, friends? What are you sitting with? What are your thoughts? Spencer, do you have a follow-up? And then Mangalam.
Okay, just quickly a question. Many people are preoccupied by the situation in the Middle East. And in the democracy session, there will be many people from United Nations and NGOs who I feel have really gained much in credibility and need to be heard much more around the world. So I take it that there will be quite a bit of exchange and contact, not necessarily on stage, but in private meetings. And I think that's important. I think it's important that people know that they can come and participate in Caux without necessarily being in public, that they're very welcome.
Thank you, Spencer. Ignacio is nodding his head.
And we will have such people from Israel, from Palestine, from other situations.
Well, as somebody who is directly impacted by the situation, and when I hear the word healing, my reaction is it's not healing, it's stopping the bleeding is what is needed. And it's not just in Gaza. It's happening in Ukraine, it's happening in Sudan, it's happening in many parts of the world. Let those who come to Caux have that conversation, but the movement at large is challenged with this question. Some say we're just good at healing, we deal with the aftermath. But what about conflict? And what about war? What is our collective contribution? So that question is open, friends, and everybody has to carry it with themselves or within themselves if they wish to. Mangalam next, please. Mangalam.
The session finishes on the 19th. Do you know what time it finishes? Because that depends on, for me to take the, to travel on the 19th, or whether is it possible I could stay and travel on the 20th, because I had to come to Canada.
Yes, I think I can answer that. Good to see you, Magalam. We finish on the 19th with lunch, and so probably I would guess between 1 and 2 o'clock. I don't have the exact time. Yes, and then afterwards, if there are special situations of people having late flights and so on, certainly we would do our best to accommodate.
Thank you.
And Mangalam, since you talk about the 19th and traveling and you are on the Canadian board, the Global Assembly starts online lunchtime on the 19th. So those who are board members or might be GA delegates, if you haven't seen the formal invitation, do please note that the GA will be on the 19th and the 20th of July, lunchtime. Heinrich, next, please.
Yes, thank you. Complete different thing. I've been asked this morning in a phone call about opportunities to work in Caux to contribute to their own cost of stay. Are there any opportunities? I assume not, but I thought I ask.
Yeah, good to see you, Henry. The first one is that no one comes to Caux to work. I mean, that's really important. If you're asking for a visa and in your interview you say, I'm going to work to Caux, they're not going to give you a visa. So you're coming as a participant. Whoever is coming as a participant. And then we have the active participants, which is a disguised way of saying you're going to be active and helping to run the place. And then in terms of the funding, as shared on our side in Caux, we have used the 75,000 that we managed to get, and we're really encouraging. And I know this is how this movement functions: these elements of support and solidarity between individuals, but also if you wish, you can go through Caux, where we do have this Solidarity Fund Committee, bringing it process and rigor in the way the sponsorships are allocated. Henry, I would have loved to be able to have answered yes.
I expected that answer, but I thought I better ask and not missing a chance. Thank you very much.
Well, it's important that we make the need also communicate the need. If somebody wishes to come and they need to be supported, or if somebody wishes to support somebody, do communicate it, please, directly as well to the team. John, may I invite you to look at and maybe read the question in the chat from Ismar, and if you feel you can respond to it, please. Ismar can't speak right now.
Yes, I think. What about representation from Latin America? Right. Thank you for asking. There you are, everyone. You've heard the situation. Ismar wants to have representation from Latin America, and we would love to have that. We don't have the funds at the moment, but I'm certainly searching all I can for funding. Anyone who wishes to help means that we might be able to. It would be a real strength to the conference to have Latin America represented, as he says.
Okay, thank you, John. We have Dr. Afaf from Egypt, please.
Hello to everyone. My question is, I think, for John. I noticed that you focused somehow on poverty as a main hindrance for democracy. I just wanted to highlight and ask you if you have given some time to another aspect which is very important for democracy, and this is ignorance or the hiding of information or the right to knowledge, because sometimes this impacts democracy. Thank you.
Yes, well, certainly we take that very seriously in the session on the media, how to create a media of integrity, and I should say a media of courage in exposing wrongdoing and in speaking truth to power. As we know, it's a very tough thing to do, but there are many journalists around the world doing that, and others, of course, and we need that. We need people of courage. And of course, how many journalists have been killed this year? 245 was the last figure I saw. I'm not sure in what time, but anyway, it takes great courage to work in some situations around the world. But yes, you're right. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, John, and thank you, Dr. Afaf, for the question. We've got maximum 5 more minutes. If there is anyone else has a question or a comment, please do raise your hand.
Nicole.
Nicole? Is that Nicole Tike? John?
Yes.
Nicole, du musst dein Mikrofon einschalten.
Nicole, you're muted.
The tech hosts might be trying to help her to unmute, which sometimes does the reverse because somebody's clicking the same button. Ignacio, just to give you the heads up, I'll ask you in a minute if you have any final comments. So, Nicole, can you unmute? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to do a trick here, Nicole. I'm just going to see if I can unmute everybody. So I'm going to ask everybody if they see they have any noise to just immediately mute themselves, please. I don't know if I can, but we'll try.
Imad, I've been raising a hand for...
I saw you clapping. You were clapping, not raising hands. So go ahead, Yuki-san.
So I just wanted to include you that 10 South Koreans plan to come to the Democracy Forum, including the new chairman of the board of the MRIC Foundation. He was a deputy speaker of the National Assembly and a cabinet minister, and he's very close to the president of South Korea and was sent to Rwanda 2 weeks ago for the commemoration of that tragic thing. So he's one of the diplomatic sort of assistants to the president for human rights. He's a lawyer and so on. So that's South Korean delegation. And Ignacio has sent an invitation to a Chinese Association for International Understanding. And that's a body that Bill Ager opened the relation. And Marcel Grandi has been invited to be there, Dick Raffin and so on. But the relationship with that body under the Communist Party did not continue. But South Korean MRA kept in touch with them through the youth forums for 19 years. So with this South Korean help, the establishment of the relationship with Chinese sort of international understanding was re-established. And they are really seriously considering coming to the first session of the Caux Forum, just to let you know. And, you know, China, what they do is very important. And South Korea is facing the border with North Korea, 40 kilometers away from Seoul to the demarcation line. So just to let you know.
Well, that's really important to hear, and thank you so much for sharing that with us, Yukahisa-san. That's wonderful, and to know the tin coming from South Korea, that's wonderful. I'm not sure Nicole is able to unmute herself, so we'll take 30 seconds of silence, friends, and if no more comments or questions, I will ask Ignacio if he has any final words. Ignacio, any final comments, words, thoughts to share?
Yeah, thanks, Imad. I always love that when someone tells you, can I have your final words? You know, I intend to keep on, but for this meeting, I think this movement is absolutely extraordinary. It's needed. A people's movement, which is anchored deeply with a felt sense of responsibility and commitment to values. A purpose-led organization for the good of the whole. This is my understanding after 1 year of what this movement is about. And in time, when Caux was created in 1946, it was just after Second World War. War is back in Europe. War is in an increasing number of places at the moment, and where a movement like this one is more than ever needed to defend the values of democracy, the values of the organization. And this is not a call to come to a forum. It is really a call for us to find the ways of impacting in a much stronger way, because it is needed, and we contribute in our own ways as individuals, but as an organization. And that's why an inner development Caux Forum is not something which is isolated. It's also linked to a strategy of bringing this conversation much more with different target groups, but including with policymakers and processes in international Geneva, for instance. Democracy, this is, as it was said, John and others said it, it's a 3-year program, and Sarah talked about this dialogue that we have next week. It is about building and weaving also with other organizations. And then the intergenerational is so evident that that's also where the focus has to be. So we already have the dates for the core forums for 2025 and 2026, if you also want to start preparing for those. I'd hope to see you already this summer. We have a lot to do together, and we really have to stick together. The world is not doing well. How can we contribute?
Indeed. Well, thank you, Ignacio. Impacting in a much stronger way is what I put down from your words. And I think that is the challenge to all of us, to the movement. And I'm reminding myself that the mission, the vision statement of IFC is a just and peaceful world. And our world is far from being just or peaceful. So we can only change ourselves, and that's the motto. And the best place to start is with ourselves, friends. My other thought is, since the word policy has been mentioned a few times, is to remind us that we are a grassroots movement, and grassroots without reaching policy is not going to be impactful. A connection to policymakers without a connection to the grassroots is not going to be impactful. we, IFC International, the International Council, now that IFC Switzerland is healthier and gaining strength, have delegated the utilization, if you like, of the Geneva seats that we have with the UN, with IOM, to the Swiss team. You heard Sarah talk about what's happening next week. And so we need now to work better in connecting that to the grassroots work. The movement will come together, invited to come together in fellowship in India in January. So what we do at Caux will be important to look back at together and see how best to use our global centers and how best to become more impactful. And just as a reminder, this coming month, we've got a few weekends booked already. The 1st and the 2nd of June will be a public conference on justice and peace in the Middle East. I think the 15th of June will be a living history session, a special one related to the history of moral rearmament in the Arab region. And possibly the 22nd of June is a follow-up on the split. That's the living history session on the split. And the last week of June, we expect the Global Community Forum. So a full weekends for June. Bear with us, but very much looking forward to continue to see what we can do together. With that, I'll invite you to unmute and to share our appreciation for all the hard work that's gone into planning for Caux, and with best wishes to the team and for those who will be there. And thank you, big thank you from me to everybody.
Great, thanks, Iman.
Thank you.
You can unmute yourself if you want.
And we say goodbye.
And you can-
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I think my mic is working again.
That's great. Last minute. Thank you very much.
May I just say one sentence?
Yeah,
For the ones who met Lucienne Munono last year and heard her story about corruption and biscuits, she is planning to come this summer again. And her visa she received last year from the Swiss government is just valid till the 20th of July.
Wonderful.
So we hope she will be there and have her contribution of how to engage again.
That's so good to hear. That will be tremendous. Another who'll be there, of course, is Louis Cardinal, and bringing the whole indigenous side of things.
And we have a great team coming from South Sudan, from Ukraine. Yuki mentioned from South Korea, from Syria as well. It's going to be quite something. Oh, and we have a young generation there.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.